that bitch, oh, we got bulletproof glass now. Bitch, I turned off, I feel like I want a Grammy. I'm speaking Guapanese, I know he cannot understand me.
Hey yo, it's your boy Atomic coming at you with another Bullet Echo video, and today we are going to be covering what I think are the best gears for you to be using in Bullet Echo. This is a highly requested video. A lot of you guys wanted to see each and every single one of the heroes that I'm running and which gear sets that I'm using for those specific heroes. But before we dive into the video, there are two things that I wanted to talk about. Number one, you have to keep in mind that there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to use your gears. And having these gear sets in Bullet Echo, it all depends on your playstyle. If you're somebody, for example, who likes to work the corners and play those longer angles, you want to make sure you use a gear set that increases your aim down range. Whereas, if you are a player who likes to sprint around and be really close to your opponent as you jiggle them back and forth, maybe you want to focus on your fire spread. So your playstyle affects your gear choice tremendously. And number two, there is a huge difference between regular gears and gear sets. Gear sets are more powerful, they have more stats, whereas the regular ones only have one. Gear sets have two, and whenever you combo gear sets together, whether it's 2, 4, or 6 gear sets, you'll get an additional bonus perk. While those are all great things, it costs a lot more to upgrade your gear set than it does to upgrade a normal gear, right? So that moves me into number 3. I know I said 2, but hey, number 3, not because I'm using a gear set means that you should use it if you have a lower level gear. It's a lot better for you to use a mythic regular gear instead of using a gear set if it's a very low level. So keep that in mind as well. It's going to affect your power levels, but nonetheless, without further ado, let's hop right into it. I'm going to cover every single hero and sort of let you guys know why I'm using the gears that I use. So let's go ahead and start off. We're just going to work our way left to right with all these heroes and just talk about it for a little bit. A little voice crack. Here we go though. Arnie is the first hero here. For Arnie, the gears that I'm running focus on his armor penetration. A lot of the gear sets and the gears that I use in my heroes focus on armor penetration and gear set combinations to increase those bonus attributes. So for Arnie, I've got the white index eye, I've got the reflex implant, the spiked shoulder pads, we've got the white index leg, the white index collar, and we finish off with the gas grenade. So for him, as you can see here, I've only got 3 of the gear sets, so I don't even have the double combination for him, where if you use that double combination, it's not necessarily insane for shotgun heroes. I would get minus 10% to the primary reloading time, and if I had all 3 gears or all 6 gear sets, I would get plus 10 health per second to the hero. Those things are like okay, but I like to focus on the battle aspects of my heroes to deal more damage during fights. So because I don't need those things, and because he's a shotgun hero, we want to bypass the armor as much as possible, which is why we have the spike shoulder for the armor penetration, gas grenade for more armor penetration. And for this one, if you are an Arnie, I would say you could either run the reflex implant or the white index heart. The implant allows me to decrease my primary weapon spread, which means that I have a higher chance of landing more pellets, which means that I can deal more damage for these high damaging shotgun heroes. So this gear set is actually the exact same gear set combo that I'm running for Sparkle, because him and Sparkles are they're sort of the same style hero. They have heavy hitting shotguns and you want to deal all that damage as quickly as possible. So for her, we're running the exact same gear set. This does change up just a little bit for my Cyclops and Hurricane because they're not 1-2 hit shotgun heroes. So for them, I'm actually running I'm running 4 of the gear sets, which gives me that bonus minus 10% to the primary weapon reloading time, because for them you're sort of using it like an SMG, especially for Hurricane. That's like a full auto shot. He feels like you're gonna have the same playstyle as an SMG, so you don't necessarily need the same things you need for Arnie. So we still have the spike shoulder pad for armor penetration as well as the gas grenade, but instead of having our the reflex implant that we have here, we have the other white index heart. This allows us to have plus 6% to the primary weapon damage against armor and plus 7% to heroes maximum armor. They need to have more health so that they can sustain in those longer engagements, and I'm pretty sure that's the exact same gear set it is that I am running for Hurricane. So for my SMG heroes, I do run the entire white marble set. I believe this is the only hero type that I have the entire set for, because the bonuses for SMG heroes are really good. If you have 2 gears on, you get plus 5% to the primary weapon fire rate. If you have 4 gears on, you get plus 10 to the hero's aimed fire range, which SMG heroes, if you can get increased range, amazing. And then for the third one, you get minus 11% to primary weapon bullet spread without aiming. So I can sprint around and shuffle my opponents while still keeping a pretty decently, narrow fire range. So that's really good for SMG heroes. I recommend the entire set, because if you even look at it too, the individual items for this gear set are really good. We get the minus 25% to the primary weapon spread with the hero's movement speed going up by 8%. We've got the health per second for the hero. It's always good if you're weak, especially SMG heroes. They can get low in health very quickly, especially against other automatic rifles. And we get plus 6% to the primary weapon damage against enemy health, so we can tear through our enemies a little bit quicker. We've got the increase to the weapon clip size, the arm part. If you're not running anything else on the SMG hero, run this arm part so you can increase your clip size and the pickup time for your upgrades. We've got the leg part for the maximum health and the hero running loudness. We've got the ring part for minus 11% to primary weapon fire spread while moving. Once again, really good for shuffling my opponents. And we finish off with the minus 14% to the primary weapon aiming time. It just allows us, if we do stop moving, to aim down faster than our opponents and land more shots. So once again, just so I can show you guys, I am running this for all of my SMG heroes. Freddy, same thing with Angel, and same thing with Raven, the entire set. Now moving on to our sniper heroes. Snipers are cold, but I do mix up my gear set for the sniper just a little bit. We've got 4 out of the 6 gear sets for the sniper heroes because these gears are amazing, and having 4 of them gives you the plus 5% to primary weapon damage against enemy health and plus 10 to the hero's aimed fire range. 2 really good things for a sniper hero. The third one is not that great. You get minus 10% to the hero's primary weapon reloading time. As a sniper, it's going to be slow for you to reload anyway. You shouldn't be putting yourself in a position where you necessarily need to reload quicker. Instead, you should position yourself correctly and use the other abilities in the game. So we have the eye dark arm implant, we've got the heart dark implant, we've got the arm dark implant, and then we also finish off with the leg. And these things are amazing. I didn't even tell you guys about the stats. Hero's vision range, primary weapon damage against enemy armor, armor per second to the hero, plus 8% to the hero's maximum armor, plus 30 to the hero's aimed fire range, plus 5 to the hero's primary weapon clip size, and then we have plus 6 to the weapon, or the primary weapon piercing power, and minus 17% to the primary weapon aimed fire spread. All really good things to have on a sniper, but instead of finishing off with the gear set, I finish off with the Thug Knuckle, which gives us plus 4% to the primary weapon damage against enemy health, and we also have the Exploder, which gives us plus 10 to the hero's aimed fire range. Once again, we're a sniper, so we're trying to keep our opponents as deep as possible and hit them from as far as we possibly can, because it confuses your opponents when they're getting hit out of nowhere and they can't even see you yet, because obviously other heroes have shorter vision range, so they'll just start getting hit, right? So if you can increase that and keep your opponents at distance and start hitting them earlier, you'll be able to destroy all of your opponents. And just so you guys can see, I am running this for every single one of my sniper heroes, all the same sets. Now moving on to the next one, we have the LMG heroes. This one I was tweaking back and forth with my full-on gear sets or splitting it down to armor penetration, and ultimately I decided to go with armor penetration. We are running 4 out of the 6 gear set here. This gives us plus 2 to the primary weapon piercing power, and because they're tanks, they're supposed to be absorbing more damage. I also have plus 3% to the hero's maximum armor. 2 really good things. The final one is decent actually. If you have all 6 gears, you do get plus 5% to primary weapon damage against enemy armor. But I feel like tanks are more of a role hero. You shouldn't necessarily be the one doing the most damage on your team anyways. So instead of having plus 5% to primary weapon damage against enemy armor and sacrificing my final 2 slots with, gears that aren't necessarily, for an LMG hero, it's not necessarily gonna change much, I decided to go with the spike shoulder to give me the primary weapon armor penetration, and the Thug Knuckle to give me plus 4% to the primary weapon damage against enemy health. So we're diving into our enemy's health a lot quicker. And then we have the eye heavy port for the vision range and the running loudness. We've got the heart heavy port for primary weapon armor penetration and pickup time for upgrades. We've got the leg heavy port for minus 20% to the hero's primary weapon spread, and minus 14% to the primary weapon fire spread while moving. And we finish off with the scope heavy port, plus 3 armor per second, which I actually have enough to upgrade right now. I didn't know that. So we're just going to go ahead and upgrade and get it up to plus 5 armor per second, which should increase our overall power level by about 6. You know, not bad at all. This one is not necessarily, I mean, you could switch this last one out if you want to go for more armor penetration or fire range. I just feel like with an LMG it's not necessary, and it's good to have 4 out of 6 once again, so you can have that maximum armor increase. Way more value. And finally, we're gonna finish off with, last but not least, my favorite. Oh, I gotta show you guys to make sure you guys see that I have the entire gear set, or the same gears across all of them. I believe Bertha might be different though. Yeah, Leviathan, I didn't change his. I meant to change his as well. We'll go ahead and put the Thug Knuckle there. And for Bertha, I was tweaking around with it, but I think I still did end up finishing with the exact same. So for all LMGs, I am running the same gear sets. Very, very strong here. And finally, last but not least, I love my AR heroes. These guys are amazing. So for the gears for the AR, once again, we are not running the entire 6 gear set, but we are running 3. This one is interesting because you can argue and work with whatever you want. Once again, it's personal preference. But for the AR heroes, the first 2 gears are awesome. You need that for the increased armor penetration. So if you can at least run 2, go for it. I've been messing around with it. If you run 4, you do get plus 3 to the primary weapon clip size. This one is better for Satoshi and Levi because without it, for me personally, I have 15 bullets for my clip. If I add that, I'll have 18. But I don't feel like those extra 3 bullets are so crazy to the point that you need to have the 4th gear set. I would rather run 3 and increase the armor penetration because those heroes, Satoshi and Levi, destroy their enemies. And if they can get down to the health, a lot of the times Levi and Satoshi can one-tap the smaller heroes in the game and have them melted. And you guys have seen how fast Satoshi tears through even tanks, man. Satoshi is amazing, right? So we're running the Bio Node Eye for the bullet spread and the movement speed with no aiming penalty. We've got the Bio Node Heart for increased primary weapon piercing power and armor penetration. The heart is solid. What a good gear to run. The leg, we've got the primary weapon aiming time and the primary weapon fire spread while moving, just in case you need to be a little bit more agile. I was thinking in my head, if we're only running 3 anyways, why not run the technique pads? Interesting, you know, plus 8% to the hero's primary weapon fire rate, but it could be wild. It could be wild, but the damage, you know, potentially is there. But I just feel like I'll tweak around and mess around with it a little bit. I think I'm going to end up keeping the leg though, because that aiming time and the primary weapon fire spread while moving is more important for an AR hero. You want to be setting up for those long range engagements and staying still for the most part anyways. So being able to aim down quicker, I feel like is more important. But you'll see me mess around with the technique pads here and there. Then of course we've got the spike shoulder for the primary weapon armor penetration. We've got the Thug Knuckle for a plus 4% to the primary weapon damage against enemy health. And we finish off with the Exploder for the plus 10 to the hero's aimed fire range. Once again, I was thinking about this one. You know, I used to have the Bionic Y set here to give us the 4 out of 6 to get that clip size. But, you know, I've been debating between these two. You could even argue primary weapon armor penetration again. But I feel like if you do have that aimed, increase to the aimed fire range, it allows you to start fights earlier. And that first shot getting off that much quicker will allow you to win more fights and shut out those SMG heroes who are trying to close the distance between you and them, right? So I have that. I'm pretty sure for every single AR hero, even my boy Doc, you know, you still gotta run the respectable gear sets for my boy. And same thing with Satoshi. So there you guys have it, my entire gear sets for all of my heroes. So keep in mind once again what you want to run with specific heroes, and understand that you need to also read into their abilities and see where you can get some pros, some cons. I always think that the gears that have more fighting power are better. Learn a position instead of trying to maybe use a gear that increases plus 5 health per second, plus 5 armor per second. Those aren't necessarily bad things, and I did used to run them a lot because it's nice to run around the map and you know, all of a sudden you've got half armor instead if you don't find any armor. Next thing you know, you're stacked. It's decent, but I feel like if you could just position yourself, and if you don't have armor on the battlefield, play a little bit safer, you get a lot more worth in having a stronger weapon and being better during fights. Either way though, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll be sure to answer them. But once again, hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you're going to enjoy the rest of your day.